Kevin, you ready to hop on? It looks like you're at work. I can't tell if you can hear me or not. Yeah? Just give me a thumbs up. Yeah, you're good. Okay, so I'm going to pull Kevin in because he's got something here for us.
Beautiful.
How you doing, bud?
Hey, how are you doing, Rich? Is the audio good?
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, what do you got for us tonight?
Thank you. All right, how are you doing, Rich? How are you doing, Jonathan?
Great,
again,
thanks.
I'm at work, so it's just excuse the choppiness with the video, but the type of job I'm doing, I can talk and work at the same time. A little bit of background story on me, actually. So I used to be in the Air Force. Was married, recently divorced. Same with the last gentleman's name, Glenn. I was an aircraft mechanic, and I am father of 2 daughters. And I had both of my daughters while in the military. So one of the things that drew me to leave the military, or I should say finish my contract, was that my daughter was born shortly before I was deployed. And one of the things I don't even wish on my worst enemy is that the feeling you get when you come back from a deployment, you've missed the first year of your childhood, your child's childhood, and the child doesn't recognize you. So at that point, I realized, well, I need to finish out my contract, and I don't want to, I want to become a father. Well, fast forward to the end of my contract, and I was putting my ex-wife through school in nursing. She obtained her bachelor's in nursing, and the plan was, I discussed with her, this was back in 2014, was that, can we sustain on you working, because you'll be making more than what I did in the military while I find some work and I transition out. And by this time, my second daughter had been born. They had been planning to deploy me, and those in the chat that know about the military, the U.S. military at least, is that typically once you're in the separation process, within less than a year, they won't deploy you, or they'll cancel any deployments if you don't re-enlist. So with that being in play, and the same 2014 was the year prior to me separating, my second daughter had been born, and we went ahead and separated out. She got a job in nursing, and just the whole rigmarole, how it goes with most people, you hear the same story over and over again, where it's like, it's a sexless marriage, there's a tension, there's the disrespect and nagging, it's the whole modern woman thing, right? And let's just speed it up a bit to recently times, and more to what I'm trying to build up to, is that my 2 daughters, right, I'm a Hispanic background, and I don't know how to say this without being outside of being politically correct, but my first daughter, you can tell she's my daughter. Skin tone, attitude, behavior, everything. Second daughter, she came out, mostly white and doesn't really behave in the same manner I do. But, I still own her as my daughter. My name's on the birth certificate and everything. I come to find out that this was maybe a few weeks ago. So she was friends with someone in the nursing college, and I was friends with her husband. And they divorced shortly after they graduated, and then he knew some people at the college, and they all were for some clarification, this is in Florida, Tampa Bay area. It was University of South Florida. So they all went to USF, and I found out that she married last month to somebody that I didn't really approve of. I don't even met the guy. And he knew her back in 2014 during the year I was separating, also the same year that my second child was born. And everything starts like, I haven't done a paternity test yet, but I'm just like, I don't even know if I even should at this point, but it's something.
How old's the second daughter?
She's 7 years old.
7 years old. And the first daughter?
9.
So what do you recommend when you got a 7-year-old and you're questioning paternity, John?
Well, you've already acknowledged paternity, and once you do that, I don't know where you're located now, or I don't know if you're still in Florida or what jurisdiction you're in, but
Florida.
Yeah, you want to talk to a local lawyer. I don't know if you'd want to open that can of worms if she recognizes you, especially if she recognizes you as her father. But that's a tough situation. The time to question paternity is right at birth, before you're on the birth certificate. Get a DNA test. It's usually free or less than $150. They just swab both your cheeks, and with 99.99% certainty, they could tell whether or not you are the parent. And no one has to have their blood drawn or anything anymore. That is the time. Now, there are guys in your situation that, you know, at this point, 7 years though, you know, you recognized as her dad. You know, you've been taking care of her. Do you pay child support?
No, actually, I mean, again, I don't want to run the segment
Don't
too
talk
long.
about.
No, it's okay. It's just that I'm actually, you can consider me in the single-digit percentile of men. That's a whole nother story, but it's to try and condense it down. Is that I recently um, just graduated my associate's degree. I was using the GI Bill, which is it's a stipulation in the military that once you serve a certain amount, you can get 3 years of benefit. And she
Right.
convinced me back a few years ago, said, hey, you know, once you quit your job, I'm a mechanic by trade, and just go and finish your engineering degree that you started, you know, back in high school. We were supposedly, I guess you could call it, high school sweethearts. And I said, sure, okay, that sounds like a good idea. You know, you're making way more than I did. She was making like $10 an hour more than I did at the time. And I said, all right, well, let's go ahead and do this. I mean, I'm going to get a monthly stipend too, a housing stipend, and it'll work out. We'll get by. You know, we had some debt, and it'll work out. And so far, you know, about a year and ish, but yeah, about a year or so in. This is October 2019. I mean, again, the marriage side of the thing started falling apart probably within the last 3 years of the marriage. I was married for 10 years. And, you know, the whole thing, it's like, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore. It's like, again, it's funny because if you follow the other, you know, manosphere, the Red Pill content on the platform, it's, you know, I didn't see it back then, but, you know, obviously hindsight is 2020. Is that, you know, the timer started. Well, the timer probably started back in 2014 when she said, oh, my security is going away. He's leaving the military. What is this? Like, what is this? You know, what are these shenanigans?
Yeah.
So it's just, so yeah, that got sprung on me. I don't, again, like I said, I consider myself probably in the decimal percentile, just because I had she earned more than I did. I didn't have a degree because in the court, at least down here, from my experience, the Florida courthouse, they consider current earning potential. So like if you have degrees, I didn't have one. I had a young female judge. She was in her late 30s, and at the hearing, she even said, "I see you're not pursuing child support. You are entitled to it. Would you like me to grant it?" And me being my dumb self, especially with all of the turmoil she's trying to put through, she's trying to commit like psychological acts to me through the kids. That's a whole other story. But again, with everything being stacked against me, I could have taken half of her retirement. I declined it. I could have taken child support. I declined it. The only thing I took was the alimony. Well, that was just enough to get me out of the house so I could move out and have
Guys,
my own place.
don't be a nice guy when it comes to family law. Nice guys get destroyed in family law, and they lose leverage and they lose opportunities. And it's very, very hard to get them back once it's been awarded to somebody else. I don't know, Jonathan. I mean, like, do you want to say something about that?
In terms of custody, once that's been awarded?
No, in terms of being a nice guy, like, you know, he forfeited, you know, an opportunity to get alimony, you know, as an example, or child support. But like, you know, like guys tend to do that like chivalrous stuff because they're like, you know, I want to be a nice guy and try to make this thing wrap up and go away. But nice guys get destroyed in family court, man.
You could always take it and then change your mind and say, I want to agree to reduce it, especially since now, if you were marrying a very, very wealthy woman and you said to her, you know what, I don't want anything from you. I'm moving into this woman's house, whatever. That's different. So I'd want to know more about it. But yeah, I mean, you want to try to keep the peace, but you have to take care of yourself too. And it's a personal decision. So hopefully you're back on your feet and you're focused and doing all the right things, because that's really what's most important.
I've actually, this past year and a half was probably the worst. I accrued like $30,000 in credit card debt. The pandemic really put a massive dent in my life. But again, I still consider myself extremely lucky. I mean, I know there's guys that, sorry, because I'm just thinking about some of the guys that I know that, you know, they self-deleted, just much worse situations. They've lost everything. Yeah, I lost the house. Yeah, I got stuck with all the debt. But at the end of the day, I have 50% custody of my children. I see them half of the week, and I actually get to pick them up this Wednesday. And I get, you know, it's just, I'm still involved in their life. And she's been doing things. Yeah, she's been doing things like putting things in their head. Like my oldest came up to me last month, like, "Oh, Daddy, I only want to see you, you know, maybe only 2 weekends a month." And I'm like, where did this come from? Like, I know
where
this
it came
isn't coming from. Right. It's like, And it's just like, and then she brought it up again through text a few weeks ago, and I'm like, this is out of the discussion. The parenting plan, you know, it explicitly says 50-50, and these are the days, and it's just, I don't understand. You're trying to get them to spend more time with you, and now, and like, she's trying with the stepfather.
Well, that starts to change as the kids get older, doesn't it, Jonathan? Like, as they become teenagers and they can decide where they want to spend. Like, I mean, that's the case here in Canada anyway. I mean, you know, by about the tween years.
Florida is very similar.
Yeah. So it's the same thing down in Florida?
They have, there's no statute for the age, actually. If you look up for Florida child cases in terms of, I mean, there's, the court
like,
depends.
you can have 50-50 leading up to 12, 13, and then all of a sudden at 13, 14, she's like, ah, you know what? Mom's closer to the school. Right, mom's closer to all my friends. I think I want to stay there more.
You know, sometimes kids, go ahead.
No, they could do that right now in Florida. The thing is that the court decides, the way the law is written is if the child is mentally mature enough to know that they're aware of the decision they're about to make. And there was a case for a 9-year-old, and there was a case for the 9-year-old, and there was a case against an 11-year-old. So that's what I'm saying. There's conflicting cases, but it all depends on the judge. It all depends on the child. They're more specific on the case here than a broad sweeping law.
Got it.
Right.
Got
right.
it. All right, Kevin, thanks for chiming in and sharing your story, man.
Good luck with everything.
No, thank you. I'm glad to get the word out and to know that, you know, there are guys out here that make it out of life. So appreciate it. Thank you for bringing it on the platform.
Thanks,
Great.
brother.
Wow. A tough situation for sure.
Yeah, as Moff pointed out in the live chat, this guy is a guy who wasn't letting the BS keep him down. He's a real soldier.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good for him. He's got a great life ahead if he can keep that attitude, stay focused. So good for him.